zip up your members-only jacket, crack open a tab, and pause your Walkman as we bring you to the 1980s.
That's right. We are the 80s Show podcast, where we talk about all things 1980s, from movies to TV shows, music and stars, fads and fashions. We'll talk about anything and everything to do with the 1980s.
The 80s, the best decade in decades.
All right, welcome to episode 4. We are your hosts. I'm Bill Lassiter alongside Damian Raffelli. How are we feeling today, Damian?
I'm feeling awesome.
Feeling rad. That's like more of an 80s word, rad, than awesome, I think.
Well, you know, gnarly.
Gnarly is bad, right?
It's actually could be good or bad.
Okay, so
depending on the connotation.
We'll just go with that. Are you feeling sick?
Yes, I am feeling sick.
Okay, I don't know how to read that, but
gag me with a spoon, Bill.
There you go. So go ahead, if you have not already followed us on Twitter, go ahead and follow us at 80 Show Podcast. That's at 80 Show Podcast. We also have a Facebook page that we have a lot of you messaging us on, as well as an Instagram. And if you want to email us, you can email us at 80showpodcast@gmail.com. That's 80showpodcast@gmail.com. All right, Damian, we've got an exciting episode today. What is on the docket?
Well, we're going to give you a quick update on last episode about NFL wrestlers or NFL players who are also wrestlers.
That's right. We're also going to be talking about the great 1989 movie, Turner and Hooch. We told you people that we were going to be watching it. Hopefully you watched it, and hopefully we won't spoil anything, right, Damian?
Well, you know, for a 29-year-old movie, we may be giving away some spoilers.
That's true. I'm also going to talk about what would be on my 1980s mixtape, and what are we going to end up the show with, Damian?
We're going to talk about Goonies, the sequel. We're going to pitch a couple ideas we have.
Yeah, that's right. So Goonies II, we're going to pitch those sequels. So welcome again to episode 4, and here we go.
Last episode, when we talked about the Super Bowl Shuffle, I mentioned that I thought Jim McMahon had been in the WWF, and Bill said I was wrong. So we did a little research, and here's what Bill and I found.
We found out that Damian was indeed wrong. Basically, is what we found out. Actually, it's kind of
that's a pretty common outcome for most things.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, there's been quite a few NFL stars that have, or football stars that have gone on to be WWF superstars or WWF stars. Steve McMichael was on the Bears, and he came into the WWF shortly right after, actually early in 1985, but then became a kind of a bigger star after that. But also, we talked a little bit about the Fridge last episode because we're doing the Super Bowl Shuffle. The Fridge was in WrestleMania II, which was in the spring of '86. It was right after the Bears had won the Super Bowl.
You know what? That's what I meant. You know, McMahon and the Fridge look so much alike.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying about that. They don't look a lot alike, but it's okay. Maybe if Fridge was wearing a headband.
Oh yeah, that's the only difference.
Yeah, that's the only difference basically. And so, WrestleMania 2, which was held at different places around the country, L.A., Chicago, and New York. And in Chicago, there was a 20-man battle royal going on with NFL players Jimbo Covert, Bill Fralick, Russ Francis, Ernie Holmes, Harvey Martin, and of course the Fridge. We saw a little clip of the Fridge in action in the 20-man battle royal, and he did pretty good. I think he was like maybe 5th. He was. Another
spoiler alert: the Fridge got taken out by Big John Studd. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And we're sorry if we spoiled WrestleMania 2 for you, but so and then right after the Fridge goes over the top ropes, he reaches up, because he's a sportsman, he's an NFL player. He reaches up to shake Big John Studd's hand. And, of course, shocker, he pulls, with his brute strength, Big John Studd out of the ring, and he's eliminated.
Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, I did not see that coming. So
there were some other cool wrestlers. Andre the Giant was in that, Iron Sheik. Who else did we see?
We saw Bruno Sammartino. We saw the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart were both. They were actually still in the ring at the clip that we had seen as well. And I guess Andre the Giant did go on and win that match. So, again, spoiler alert.
We did see Bizarro Hulk Hogan as well.
Yeah, what was that?
He looked just like Hulk
Hogan. The
Hogan.
Warrior? I have to look that up.
No, it wasn't the Warrior. It was somebody else. But he had long blonde hair. He was even wearing yellow tights, whatever they wear, the underwear and the boots. And I thought it was Hulk Hogan, but it was Steve or somebody else.
I can't remember. And it's not even on the Wikipedia page. Sorry, that spoiler alert. We get our.
If Wikipedia doesn't know, nobody knows. It's a mystery.
That's right. So there you go. That's an update from episode 3.
And we're going to do another segment of Damian is Wrong, probably next episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've been corrected several times for sure.
It's time for us to review the best VHS streaming on Netflix.
That's right, Damian. And so we recommended to you people to go ahead and listen to the 1989 movie, or, watch the 1989 movie. Classic movie, Turner and Hooch. And so we've got our review for you, little play-by-play stuff going on here. And so, Damian, you actually watched this before I did, and then I started watching it, and there's an hour and a half I won't get back in my life, but...
Movies that you remember as when you were younger, from, say, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I remembered this one very much differently. Did you watch this one when it came out?
Yeah, I remember watching this when it came out, but I think I liked it a lot better 30 plus years ago, or 30 years ago, I guess. But it's interesting doing this research. We saw that 1989 was a stellar year for movies in the theater, in the box office. I mean, we had
movies like K-9.
We'll get to K-9 in a second as well. But like Batman came out, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon.
Back to the Future 2 came out, Christmas Vacation, Uncle Buck.
Field of Dreams, Tango and Cash, Major League, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which you talked about in episode 1, of course.
And a bunch more, like Say Anything. There was a bunch more movies that came out.
Yeah, so we may have to do a whole episode about movies in 1989 because
we could just do a whole new podcast of movies that came out in 1989.
That's true, a whole new podcast. So just to let you know, we're going to give a little bit about the plot of Turner and Hooch, and so
again, if you haven't watched this movie, we're going to spoil a 30 or 29-year-old movie for you.
Yeah.
Just don't yell at us. Don't even say anything to us. So we're going to tell you exactly what this movie was about.
And so Damian has written a succinct plot summary of this movie.
Okay. So it's about a slobbering, beer-drinking, murderous dog, a French Mastiff, a large dog, who goes into witness protection with Tom Hanks.
Okay, there you go. Uh-huh.
So then Hanks ends up falling in love with a veterinarian.
What?
Solves the murder.
Uh-huh.
And then Hooch dies at the end.
I can't. You just spoiled the movie right there. So seriously, like watching this movie again, I did not remember that Hooch dies. He takes a bullet for Tom Hanks in the movie.
A great, good family movie, feel-good movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
At the very end, they try to make you feel better because basically Hooch hooked up with Lassie at the end.
That's right. Hooch did hook up with Lassie.
And then they have a couple kids. They got a couple that look like the collie and a couple that look like Hooch. No, that look half and half. They basically had couple pure breeds.
Yeah.
So they had 4 pure breeds,
exactly.
2 of each.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how genetics works like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, this movie stars Tom Hanks as well as Craig T. Nelson,
Coach,
who looked freaking awesome with his blue blockers on the whole time. That was.
Do you remember those?
Back. Oh, gosh.
Do you remember those infomercials,
Oh,
Mike?
yes.
Did your grandparents have blue blockers?
I'm pretty sure they did. Well, you have to block the blue.
You do.
Yeah,
I don't know what that even is. But
I don't know either. The other character in the movie, we don't even have the name written down, but is the dad from Family Matters, and he was also, which he played a cop, and he played a cop in the great Christmas movie Die Hard.
Die Hard, absolutely. He's not typecast at all because in this movie he plays a cop.
Yeah. So he's been a cop in 3 80s. Die Hard? Die
Hard was
maybe?
80s. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He's definitely not typecast. Now, here's the thing about Tom Hanks in this movie. So I'm watching this movie, and they try to portray him as having OCD, which some of the stuff that he did back then I would call a metrosexual today, or 10 years ago, whenever the phrase metrosexual came out. I don't know. They show him doing things like he trims his nose hairs. Ooh, that's Nobody did that in the 80s, I guess. I thought they made a big deal about the trimming the nose hairs.
They did.
Yeah. He files papers. He flosses, Damian.
He's a fancy boy.
Yeah, he flosses. And of course, he grinds his own coffee beans. So in the 80s, all that stuff was, people would make fun of, but those are 4 things that I do now.
That was considered effeminate in the 80s. Now it's just considered being cool.
You just let your nose hairs grow like a wild jungle. Like that's what happened in the 80s, I guess.
I braid mine.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some other 80s stuff in that movie as well, Damian.
Oh, I mean, the 80s stuff is amazing. My favorite, well, I can't say if my favorite thing is the 80s CSI or the 80s technology. What do you think? What would you like better?
I think you combine them both, really, the CSI and the technology.
Yeah, I guess because they go hand in hand. I guess.
Yeah. So, they act. Tell them what they use, Damian.
Okay, what is the one thing every 80s detective needs?
I think any 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s detective. But yeah, you've got to have a nice white piece of chalk. To
draw that chalk outline of the dead body.
You got to know where the body was.
So the dog's owner, Hooch's owner, who was murdered in the beginning of the movie, when Tom Hanks shows up, there's literally a chalk outline where the dead body was.
That's right.
Dead body's gone before the homicide detective gets there.
That's right. And of course, when we are introduced to Hooch in the movie, it's in slow-mo just to show the slobber of the dog, which I thought, total 80s technique. Let's slow everything down just for this one scene to introduce the slobbering, pathetic. Not pathetic. He's a cool dog.
No, he's a cool dog. The guy who owned him before the guy who died, he deserved to die. He was abusive and neglectful for that dog. When Tom Hanks first, brought Hooch into witness protection, he brought him to the hottie veterinarian, and the hottie veterinarian was about to report Tom Hanks to the police for animal abuse. That's how malnourished and how
let's back up. Hooch drags Tom Hanks into the veterinarian. If you remember, he's walking down the street. So Hooch is hooking up Tom Hanks, man. That happened. Hooch is a good brother right there.
So for single people out there, get a dog.
It's
rescue
ultimate wingman.
Be a good person. Rescue a dog. There's a lot of dogs in need out there.
Yeah, don't steal a dog. We don't condone that.
All right. How about that 80s tech?
So the other thing that was in this was from 80s tech was Sharper Image used to be like a really popular store in the 80s. I remember going into there and stuff like that. So there was a Sharper Image suit press and shoe buffer.
Yeah, they had all the cool tech that you just didn't need. Things you would never need but were awesome. Sharper Image was the best. Did you ever go into those stores and just play around with things?
Oh, yeah. They used to let you play there. It's like Brookstone, but I guess Brookstone is now
bankrupt,
I guess.
Just like Sharper Image.
Just like Sharper Image. But, then he, of course, Tom Hanks has the pager,
which was pretty high tech in 1989.
That's true. I remember having a pager early in college.
Me too. Your roommate sold me it.
That's right. That's totally true. And then, of course, the Dustbuster, the original Dustbuster. Now they're all fancy with different colors and stuff, but like the brown Dustbuster
we don't need that Dyson crap. We had the good stuff. That thing lasted for at least 30 seconds.
Then you had to recharge it after 30 seconds. And then the best one was Tom Hanks paying his bills by check.
Remember that?
I can't remember the last time I wrote a check. Like, honestly,
I don't even know if people accept checks anymore.
I don't know, but a check was like a note from your mom from the bank saying, I don't have the money now, but here's these people, they'll pay you.
No, as long as you had checks left, you had money left, because the banks wouldn't give you checks if you didn't have money in there to pay for
Damon,
things.
I think you're wrong about that, because I remember signing up for a bank because they gave you unlimited checks. I was like, ooh, unlimited.
That's unlimited dollars then.
I guess so. So that's some of the 80s tech in that movie. And Damian wants to talk about his favorite subject.
It would be Tom Hanks in his little undies. His little tight black undies. You could see the outline. There was nothing left of the imagination.
We talked about a couple episodes ago, we talked about Steve Guttenberg's shorts in Cocoon, but he's got nothing on Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was just... I feel like he showed more skin in this movie than Castaway.
I think so too. And I'm not sure if we saw more of Hooch's or Tom Hanks's balls in this movie.
I'm not sure. I'll have to rewatch it and use a stopwatch to count the time between those two. So,
and before we wrap up about Turner and Hooch, this is the second time we've recorded this episode. We had some technical issues with the recording, so we had to redo it. The first time I made Bill eat a dog bone because in Turner and Hooch, Tom Hanks is on.
Oh wait.
Tom Hanks is on a stakeout, and he eats a dog bone.
That's right. He does eat a dog bone, and it was not a dog. It was like a dog treat. And I only took a bite, and you had it too.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, they're still recording this, Damian. So
it was disgusting.
Don't try to say that Damian started gagging on the microphone.
It didn't taste at all like bacon. Oh, let me just tell you that. It looked like bacon, but it didn't taste like it.
It was pretty terrible, and now I'm really embarrassed that I am admitting that I took a little bite of that. I can't believe you talked me into it, but you've talked me into many things over the years, Damian. So
we're just going to touch on K-9 really briefly.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that.
It's really not worth much time. It's starring the other Belushi.
Herschel?
I think it is Herschel, I believe.
Herschel Belushi, okay.
John Belushi? I'm not sure what his name is.
I think it's Jim.
Jim Belushi, that's right. The not funny one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure in this movie, his character Dooley is the Zodiac Killer.
Okay. All right.
The opening scene is Jim Belushi at night sitting in his K car, his police-issued K car. Remember those? Mm-hmm. And he's not just anywhere. He's at Lookout Point, and there's a bunch of people, hooking up in other cars, and he's just sitting there watching him, waiting for a quote-unquote source.
Okay, so he's like creeper,
total creeper. So let me just break it down for you. This is K-9. If Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon was paired with a dog instead of Murtaugh, and it was crappy writing, that's K-9 in a nutshell.
Wow. Now, the dog in this one was a German Shepherd, right?
German Shepherd.
Yeah. So, Damian, have I ever told you the time that I met Jim Belushi?
No. Did you really? You sprung this on me.
Kind of. There's a movie, actually in 1990, he was filming called Taking Care of Business, where he escapes prison or whatever. They filmed part of it at Angel Stadium.
Oh, wow.
I was at the game, and so there you go. I'm telling you a story of someone that I met because you always get to tell those stories, Damian.
So you were in a crowd of 30,000 people with Damian,
this was the Angels in the early 90s, so it was like 17,000 people. So let's get the numbers right. But
that does narrow things down.
Yes. So to our audience, we hope that you saw Turner Hooch, enjoyed Tom Hanks in his underwear. Hopefully you skipped K-9, but if you didn't, oh well, there goes an hour and a half of your life, just like Damian wasted watching that movie. So there you go.
And we're not going to send out apologies if you watched either of those movies.
That's true.
But do please hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, the Instagrams, email, whatever you have, and let us know, what do you think is the best movie on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, HBO, anywhere that can be found online. Let us know what we should review next.
Put on a Walkman and see the world in a whole new light. Sony Walkman. The Walkman from Sony, the one and only.
Bill, did you do your homework for this week?
Yes, I did, Damian. Yeah, so Damian gave me a little homework for this week. You want to tell him about it, Damian?
I assigned Bill, and he's a teacher, so he's used to giving out the homework, not getting it.
Come on.
All right, so I assigned Bill to do a segment on his 80s show Mixtape.
Yeah, so you're talking about mixtapes in the 80s, which were huge, obviously. There are so many 80s songs. So I had to narrow down the topic. And so I talked to Damian, and he said, okay, how about your top 5 breakup songs from the 1980s? And I thought, great idea, because I was broken up with a lot of times in actually not in the 1980s, but in the 1990s I was broken up a lot. So I tried to come up with 5 breakup songs that I would listen to. And so what I pictured was me driving in my 1981 Honda Civic. It was brown. That was the first car I ever owned when I was 16. Damian, what was the name of my car?
The Turd.
That's right. So I'm just picturing myself driving the Turd around town. And I've just been, heart's broken. And I just sing at the top of my lungs. So that's what I came up with. And I have 5 songs here that they are in no particular order except the number 1 song. Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right, so I mean, like I said, there's so many other songs. If You Lose by, or If You Leave by OMD, Careless Whisper. There's I Want to Know What Love Is from Foreigner. There's I Need You Tonight from INXS. Those did not make the cut.
Ooh, that's a pretty hefty competition there.
So again, this is no particular order. So number 5, I thought you can't have an 80s mixtape without Michael Jackson and Madonna. So I thought Beat It by Michael Jackson, just because hey. It's a good song, talking to a girl, beat it. But also,
and it has a couple of connotations.
Also, there's an Eddie Van Halen guitar solo, Damien. That's when I was trying to go for. So, number 4 would be She's Crafty by the Beastie Boys. I could totally picture myself singing that song in the turd, full blast. She's crafty. I mean, there's some great lyrics to that song. You know, it's just too bad that girl's a bum. The next song number 3 would be Free Fallin' by Tom Petty, which was in 1989. There's a great scene from Jerry Maguire, which was a 1990s movie, I know, but he's trying to find a song to sing loud in the car, and he's singing Free Fallin' by Tom Petty.
Everybody knows the lyrics to that.
Everybody knows the lyrics. Well, at least they know the Free Fallin' part.
Yeah. Well, the chorus at least.
Yeah. And so number 4 song I have is actually people, I'm a Van Halen fan. I'm a Sammy Hagar fan, so I had to go with Van Halen's "Why Can't This Be Love?" Like, it's just a question of why can't this be love, Damien? It's just so sad.
Are you asking me that? Are you just giving me that?
No,
okay.
I could just see myself singing that song out loud. So, and my number 1 song, and this was actually, if we were going to go in order, this would be the number 1 song. Now, Damien, this is a sad thing about my life is I actually remember driving past a girl's house who had broken up with me when I was in high school, playing this exact song, singing to the top of my lungs. No, it's not creepy at all, Damien. Don't say that to me.
Yeah, I think that's called stalking.
Oh, gosh. If she's listening to this, that would be pretty embarrassing. But anyway.
Now you can just stalk them on social media without leaving your house.
Wow. I don't do that, but
so I've heard.
So I've heard. So I want you to picture in the 1980s. This song came out in 1987. There's a great music video that every teenage boy would probably remember. There's a redheaded model on a sports car, a redheaded model named Tawny Katane. The song, of course, being "Here I Go Again" by Whitesnake. I mean, just the lyrics are just so inspiring. I don't know where I'm going, but I sure know where I've been. Hanging on the promises and songs of yesterday. I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. And here I go again. I mean, yes, I actually drove by and sang the song out loud in my car. In the turd. So what do you think, Damien? What do you think about that list?
I think it's a great list. Number 1 on my list of breakup songs was "Hot for Teacher." Is that a little strange? I'm not sure. I had a different childhood. So that was a great mixtape, though. I got to say, those were excellent songs to have on there. I could just see you just bawling, just tears, just blowing in the wind as you're driving in the brown turd Honda Civic or whatever the thing was.
Yeah, it actually happened. I actually did sing that song. But anyway, we would love to hear from you. What would be on your 80s mixtape? We're talking about breakup songs, and you know, I gave you a few songs out there. There's so many more, but what songs would you be playing in your car after a breakup to make yourself feel better, or you know, just to dive into that angst? If you could hit us up on the social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, you can use the hashtag 80s breakup songs. That's 80s breakup songs hashtag, and let us know, because we would like to maybe include those on a future episode. Yeah,
and if you have a favorite 80s breakup movie even, I'd love to hear about that. Too. I'm just going to say number 1 on my list for that would be a 1989 classic.
Say Anything. I knew you were going to say that. Yep.
I gave her my heart.
She gave me a pin.
I love that. That's a great breakup movie. But we'll talk about that another day. Thanks for letting us know it was on your mixtape, Bill. And was it a Maxell? Was that your mixtape?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I plugged it into my Alpine detachable face stereo. I may have had a pull-out too. I'm not sure.
I think in 80s would have been pull-out. 90s, I think detachable face.
Yeah, and I did have one of those with the little soft-sided case that I'd carry. It looked like I was carrying a purse around, but everybody knew it was my awesome stereo.
Well, the stereo was worth more than your car, so that makes sense.
That's probably true. All right, this segment is going to be our 80s sequel pitch. So every once in a while, we are going to come up with ideas for sequels or reboots of popular 1980s movies and TV shows. And today's sequel pitch will be for The Goonies, classic 1980s movie, The Goonies. Loved The Goonies as a kid. And even as a dad now, watching my kids love it's like the one thing from the 80s they love is The Goonies. So,
and Bill looks exactly like Sloth.
wow, Damien, that hurts to the core because it's funny because it's true, basically. So, we did some research on The Goonies and a Goonies sequel specifically. And it's long been rumored that this was going to happen. Some people said that it might be an animated film. There is the Goonies musical is going on right now, apparently.
Oh, really?
Sean Astin is involved with it. And so Sean Astin, Mikey, says it's possible. Spielberg wants it to be made. Even Corey Feldman came out and said, "Oh yeah, it's going to be made." And
I think Corey Feldman would just take any offer that's given to him right now.
That's probably true. But unfortunately, Christopher Columbus, one of the writers of Goonies, said it will not happen. So, since the writer is out, we decided to come up with our own Goonies II sequel pitches. Here we go.
And we have some amazing ideas. Before I get into mine, Bill, when I was just I was watching The Goonies again. I love watching it. And I was looking at Mama Fratelli, and I'm like, I'm just kind of curious to see how old she was. I knew she died not long after making the movie.
Okay.
Do not just take a wild guess on how old Mama Fratelli was.
She's got to be like in her 70s, right? She's got to be like I'd say early 70s. You're looking at me like I'm way off, so now I'm like, uh-oh.
She was 56.
Shut up. 56 years old? Oh my gosh! Yeah, she looked like she was. Yeah, she was. So I was being like polite. Like I really thought she looked like she's in her 80s when that movie
lived
was.
a rough life.
Yeah, she looked like she looked like she was a dock worker or something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
She might have been. All right, so let me just tell you what Bill and I each took a run at this, and we're just going to see who has the best idea.
All right, so we don't know each other's pitch ideas either, so we're we're listening to them the first time
Hopefully they're not the same.
Hopefully they're not the same. That'd be embarrassing.
Okay, so mine starts out. Everybody's grown up. It's not a reboot; it's a sequel.
Right.
So we have all the same characters.
Gotcha.
And so you've got Data, and then Sean Astin's character. I always Mikey, forget his name. They're really smart. So, they're working. They become historians, especially after finding the treasure map. And they found, One-Eyed Pete's...
One-Eyed Willie. Jeez, are you kidding me? One-Eyed Pete's something else, dude.
That's the adult version. One-Eyed Willie. No, One-Eyed Willie sounds like the adult version, actually, doesn't it? Okay, so they found One-Eyed Willie's treasure. They did the whole deal. So they get a little taste for history. And so, they start, become historians, and also on the side, they're treasure hunters.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm down with that, yeah.
And through their, through doing all this, they discover that there is another treasure map hidden on the back of the Declaration of Independence. And so, wait for it, though. That's not it.
All right.
That sounds a little boring. I know. That sounds a little boring, right? But so how do they get to the treasure map?
Yeah.
So they break in and they steal the Declaration of Independence.
Okay. This sounds a little familiar, Damien.
They go on a treasure hunt. They have to find all these different, landmarks and things to help them get to navigate their way through to find the treasure that's part of our nation. That came over with the Freemasons.
Damien, this sounds a little bit familiar. I don't. So
wait.
Go ahead.
So they find Ben Franklin's special eyeglasses that encrypts the map too. So there's sort of some intrigue. There's some cool tech. Like they've got Data, who has he makes his own inventions to figure out all this.
Yeah. Okay. So
and at the end, they find this treasure. They have to go. It's underneath a church.
Okay, Damien.
The catacombs.
Damien, this is not. I think you're talking about a different. Now, let me ask you this: are there any new co-stars in this movie?
I did. Nah. Well, maybe like a Nicolas Cage.
Okay, Damien. This is clearly National Treasure, the movie National Treasure by Nicolas Cage.
It sounds a little different to me than.
Okay.
The difference was not. John Voight's not going to be in this one.
All right, Damian, I think you're just taking ideas that you've already seen and already heard, like National Treasure.
Okay, wait a minute.
The great National Treasure.
How about they're from Canada, and they have to find the Canadian treasure that was buried by whatever the Canadian founders are of Canada, the English or the
Mr.
French?
Canada.
Yes, Mr. Canada.
Canada. That was weird. I don't know what that was. Okay.
And the movie will be in French.
Okay, Damian, I'm going to go ahead and pitch you my idea because I actually have an idea for this.
All right,
okay,
let's hear
Goonies 2.
your idea.
Goonies
Bill.
2. Okay, so they're obviously they're growing up a little bit, and Sloth unfortunately passes away.
Aw,
R.I.P. Sloth.
just like in real life.
Just like the actor. Actually, it was an NFL player that played Sloth, John Matuszek.
I'm sure steroids had nothing to do with it.
Sure not in the 80s for sure, or cocaine. And so Sloth dies, but he's made a lot of money for himself, becoming a celebrity, and he actually has been hired. He hired Mikey and Mouth and all of them. They're
How did he make his
employees.
money? Was he a model?
He was he a model? He did some he has offshore accounts and stuff like that. So he just had a lot of money, and so he invites the gang right before he passes away. Invites the gang to go hang out with him on the beach, and they show up and unfortunately he's dead, and so they don't want to ruin a bad. They want to make sure they still have a good time, and so they prop him up his body. They put it on a Hawaiian shirt, a little lei, and they take him out on a yacht, One Eye Willie's yacht. Tie into the other movie, right? And they go on these shenanigans. They party all night long. They have a disco ball on One Eye Willie's ship, pirate ship. And they kind of string him up, Sloth up to wave hi to people and
So
stuff
people
like.
think he's still alive.
Right. It's just over a weekend though. It's over a weekend.
So we're not going to even talk about the smell from a dead body on the beach in the summertime.
I don't see any plot holes in this, Damian. I really don't.
I love the idea. I mean, it's a funny movie. It's great, and it was hilarious when it was Weekend at Bernie's. Bell.
I don't know what you're talking about, Damian. His name is Sloth. So it's Goonies 2, Weekend at Sloth's.
We need to come up. Seriously, though, we've got to come up with some original
Okay,
ideas.
all right,
Let's pull from the list. What else?
All right, so here's my other pitch idea. Okay, so this kind of takes in consideration all the main characters, all the main players in this. So Mikey, he graduates high school and he becomes a walk-on at Notre Dame, and he starts school there. He actually makes a famous play for the football team at one point. Now Mouth ends up moving down to.
Do they all chant Mikey?
Yeah, they chant Mikey, and Mike. Yeah, and so then Mouth ends up moving to the central coast of California, and he becomes a vampire hunter. Actually, apparently that's a big deal on the coast in California.
It's a serious problem.
Yeah, and so now Steph. Now, if you don't know who Steph is, Steph, of course, was played by Martha Plimpton, and so she ends up having Keanu Reeves' baby in the sequel.
So she's a parent.
She is a parent. She's getting used to that being a parent.
Does she live in the hood?
She lives in the hood.
So
yep,
she's
exactly.
A parent in the hood.
Yep. And so now Brandon kind of breaks off from Mikey, older brother Brandon. He ends up on a search for. He kind of almost continues doing the treasure hunting like the Goonies did, but he's looking for these magical stones. He has this fancy glove, and he puts these different stones in the glove. So Brandon's busy doing that out in the universe, So and then Chunk and Data they go to India with a archaeologist, and they're going to go look for the Sankara stone, and they end up in a brawl with this shaved head guy, like badass, named Mola Ram.
Interesting.
So what do you think? What do you think about that idea?
What I really like about this plot is how it all goes together and works together.
Right.
To one cohesive movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or maybe they'll make 5 movies out of this. I don't know.
Yeah, it does sound very similar to some other movies they might have been
I
in.
don't know what you're talking about, Damien.
Okay,
I don't know.
we're-
I've never seen Rudy
Or
or Lost Boys.
Or how about
Or Parenthood.
Parenthood? Or how about Not Thanos.
Avengers.
Avengers.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Indiana Jones 2, so
that was
the
best one. My favorite part is when they're in the
minecarts.
That's the best part.
Yes, I do.
There is no
the short round / data.
Crystal Skulls might be slightly better, but we'll debate that another day.
All right, so Damian, now your final pitch idea.
I'm going to do a serious pitch here, Bill.
Okay,
no joke. So we've got Chunk. Chunk, the chunky kid, the one that likes to eat and make up stories.
Oh, you mean Chunk?
Yeah, Chunk.
Okay.
All right, so Chunk becomes an infomercial pitchman for as seen on TV products.
Okay.
For products that are made by Data and Mikey, the nerds. And,
okay. Oh, yeah, well, Data, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Data was always making these inventions like, the boxing glove that would punch out of his glove.
Right.
They never quite worked, so you're not going to see him in like a good store like Sharper Image, for example.
Right. Now, I mean, Chunk was like a total ultimate salesman for sure, and could tell stories and stuff. Now, what would Mouth be doing?
So, Mouth is fluent in Spanish, as we learned in the Goonies.
Yes,
so he'll
true.
translate for the Spanish market.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Now, of course, every product comes across as being, an adult pleasure product when Mouth talks about it, when Corey Feldman's character does it.
All right, perfect.
So, and then they all make a bunch of money, and, that's really it. And then we could actually, at the end, you could just sell some products, too, and make some money that way, because it's probably going to fail at the box office.
Wow,
anyway.
Okay. I thought there would be a little bit more excitement and stuff, but basically just the idea that...
I got us halfway there. Well, we've got to come up with an ending still.
Well, maybe there's a pirate ship in there, or a Willie named One Eye. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
We could also do the Cinemax version, which is the Goonies After Dark.
Oh, jeez, man. Awesome. I mean, there's a ton of ideas out there. I've actually seen some pretty decent ideas, but I just don't... I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen, Damian. Goonies 2.
I do have a legitimate idea here, though. I've got to, flesh this one out a little bit.
Okay.
But it is the Goonies, the same movie, but from Fratelli's viewpoint.
Okay, yeah, the bad guys, the Fratellis, yeah, for sure.
And maybe the Fratellis are not bad people. Maybe it's like making a murderer and they were falsely, accused of things. And the Goonies really screwed everything up. They were trying to prove their innocence. And then the Goonies broke up their family, got them all thrown in jail, got old Mama Fratelli killed, apparently.
Yeah, she was thrown from the train.
Yeah, she was. She got thrown from the train.
So that's
I'm going to work on that a little bit more. I got some work to do.
All right, I like that, Damian. So we would love to also hear your ideas about a Goonies Part 2, and so we'd love to hear from you. So if you can hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, you can use the hashtag 80s sequel pitch, 80s sequel pitch. And let us know what your sequel pitch would be for the Goonies, or if you would like to hear of another 1980s movie that you would like to see a sequel for.
Yeah, even TV show, if you'd like to see another TV show, not rebooted, but just a sequel of it.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't do reboots.
Reboots are lame. All right, well, thank you once again for joining us for the 80s Show podcast. Coming up on episode 5, we are going to have a 1980s movie battle between the great movies Rocky III and Rocky IV. I think it's pronounced 4, though.
Well, we're also going to talk about whatever happened to Tab Soda.
Ooh, Tab Soda. All right, and we're going to be talking about the ultimate babysitter, for at least for Damian and I. We've talked about this many times. The ultimate babysitter for us...
Three's Company.
Three's Company, that's right. So, Damian, how can the audience join us here?
Well, you can hit us up on either Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at 80 Show Podcast. You can also email us at 80showpodcast@gmail.com or go to our website, 80showpodcast.com.
That's right. And, all right, so for myself, Bill Lassiter, don't forget, Goonies never say die.
And this is Damian Raffelli. To quote Tom Hanks, no sniffing of crotches. Theme song composed by my good friend, fellow rock star, straight out of Bakersfield. You may also know him from the band Videodrone, Mark Russell Davis.